Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my studio. I'm really late getting started today because I couldn't decide what to do. And now I finally have decided, and I'm going to get right in straight away with no hesitation, deviation or repetition. Piece of Meaden watercolor paper on a block. I will say yet again about the block being something that is glued all the way around, except for a little gap at the top, so that when you're doing your painting, it won't buckle. It stays absolutely flat. When it's finished and it's dry, you can take it off by sliding a knife in here and slicing right the way around. Don't throw the block away thinking that it's faulty, as somebody told me they'd done the other day. On the Facebook group, someone said that, and it's like, no, go and get it out of the garbage. It didn't do you any harm. It didn't need to be thrown away. Anyway, so this is 10x7 cold press, 100% cotton, acid-free in big letters. It won't yellow with age, unlike me. Right, so that's going there, and I'm going to be painting a picture from a book. This is Hannah Pickerill's book. Hannah is a young lady who is a very gifted artist. In my opinion, she's going to go places, I expect, in her life. And this is a nice book, and I would recommend it. It's got lots of landscapes in it and lots of ideas, and she goes through each of her projects very carefully, step by step, telling you exactly what she did in great detail, and it's very right, it's very correct, it's very good. And I'm going to have a go at this painting here. This is a photo that she credits to her mother, having taken it when she was out one autumn afternoon. Must have been a lovely day. And this is not an easy subject to paint. I have failed at this multiple times, and today probably won't be any different. But with Hannah's help, maybe we might get somewhere. So do take a look at this book on Amazon. At the moment, Kay, who does the Art Book Nook, has not reviewed this one, but maybe she will. She has reviewed quite a few books that I've used, and lots that I've got. I think I've got all the books that she's reviewed, actually. So go and have a look at the Art Book Nook if you haven't yet, and you'll see some interesting interiors. She goes through lots of books, page by page, showing you exactly what's inside them, which I don't actually have time to do, but I will give you a quick flick through. And if, of course, you go to Amazon, you can always see what's inside, can't you? So we're going to have a go at this. I told you about the paper. I'm going to give myself the best possible chance for success, and I'm going to use my big palette, which is my preferred way of painting. I'm a messy person, as you can see. I like my colours to be all kind of smushed together. I'm not one of those people who can paint in little squares like this. Not that there's anything wrong with being one of those people, but I just am not one. What was I saying? Yeah, I'm going to give myself the best chance of success by using this palette. This is what Michael Harding paints. You cannot go wrong with Michael Harding. The paints are glorious. There's no question. Well, you can go wrong if you're me, but but they are brilliant paints. And also here I have some brushes, always useful. I've got a couple of Drawwell brushes, my favorite Japanese manufacturer, Mr. Miami, in Japan, will send them to you if you ask him and give him a small amount of money. I've got a couple of my own Craftmo ones, but I shouldn't actually be using those because, well, yes, I mean, that's a silly thing to say, isn't it? You can't buy them anymore. They're sold out at the moment. They are sold out, and we don't know whether we're ever going to do any more again, ever. Princeton, though, is my go-to if you're going to buy them off Amazon or from an art shop. I'll put links to these things, all of them, underneath the video in the description. I like best of all the Aqua Elite. I've got a size 12 here. I do also have a slightly smaller one, but I'm not sure where. And the Neptune. Some people prefer the Neptune. I find the Neptune is a bit softer. So if you prefer a softer brush, this is the one to go for. The Aqua Elite is a little bit firmer and has a bit more spring in it. A bit more spring in its step. Let's see. Where's the other one gone? I don't know. I can't find it. I thought I had my brushes all organised, but I don't seem to have. Anyway, it doesn't matter because I've got other smaller ones here. So we're going to be using, in terms of paints, if I follow what Hannah suggests, I would be using ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, sap green, lemon yellow, cadmium red, Van Dyke brown, and Payne's grey, which is an absolutely bog standard, typical, normal, classic palette. Those colours, with those colours, you can mix most things. She doesn't have this cadmium red. Don't think so. Cadmium red is brighter than that, but anyway. There's not a lot of red in it, but there is a lot of yellow and orange, isn't there? A couple of brushes and some paper. And you have the option with your paper, even though it's glued down all the way around, if you want to reserve a border, you can use washi tape or masking tape to go around the outside edge if you feel that's something you'd like to do. So let's have a look at what she says and we'll see whether we can do this. Set up your paper as you like and make sure to add a drop of water to your colours so they start to soften. Well, that's a good reminder. So I will look for my little spray bottle, which is up here. Let's hope there's some water in it. One small spray bottle, hardly any water in it, but let's fill it up. I always have big pots of water on my desk for cleaning my brushes in between strokes and activating my paint, so I'm able to just, I use mason jars, so I'm able to just dip my bottle into that so that I can spray everything and make it nice and wet. There we are. That should do. You can go there. I have a cloth here which I use for water control. You need something like that, either this or a paper towel, so that you can take off any surplus water or paint from your brush before you apply it to your commitment. Right. Sketch. Start by sketching out the horizon line where the water meets the land, a little under, halfway up the page, and sketch the little hills just above the horizon line. I can't see any hills, but well, anyway, so I'll do that. I'll sketch the horizon line. I've got a pencil here. This is an HB, Faber-Castell, and I should sit down to take the weight off my legs. What did she say? Under halfway, a little under halfway up. What are we aiming for in the end? I'm not going to, a little under halfway up. Somewhere like this. Just get the horizon line more or less parallel to the bottom of the paper. We'll be tackling this piece in halves, starting with the top half. Since we're painting everything at once, you'll need to prepare all of the colours first. Add enough water so the paint flows well, but keep the colours pretty saturated. Pause. Please read through the following instructions before you start so you can work quickly without stopping to read. Use a large brush for this step and start by filling in everything above the horizon line with clean water from your cup. Okay, so if we're going to use a large brush, we'll go with size 12. And what she's basically saying is we're going to be painting wet in wet. So I'll use the large brush. I could use a larger one. You could use a house painting brush if you wanted to. But anyway, so I haven't read all the way through yet. I'm going to disobey Hannah. Sorry, Hannah. I have read it, actually. I have read it a couple of times, but not just now. So we're going to do this on the fly. So there we are. That's now damp. Use a large brush for this step and start by filling in everything above the horizon line with clean water from your mason jar. Okay. Pick up your sky blue colour and put a few dots and sweeping paint strokes at the top of the page, leaving a few white spaces. Keep this to the very top of the page. I'm looking at the painting and thinking, right, So let's find, where's my ultramarine? Panes and paper, phthalo blue. Is it this one? No, that's black. Oh, here it is. Right, ultramarine. Let me turn that round so you can see me picking up the paint. And I'm going to basically try to do what she did. And we're going to drop in some ultramarine, leaving plenty of white space. Thank you, Arthur, for the hair. She kind of went across like that. And maybe I'll just make that a little bit darker here. And we'll leave that like that. Then what does she say next? Pick up your light yellow colour. Clean my brush. Light yellow and paint in an oval tree shape on the right side of the page around where the yellow tree is in the reference photo. Switch to your darker yellow and drop in some dots into that tree shape. Okay, so looking at the reference photo, that will be about here. And so I'm going to try and just literally do what she suggests. So we'll go with the yellow. She is using cadmium yellow, and I have got cadmium yellow, so I'll use that. Pick up your light yellow and paint in an oval tree shape on the right side of the page. Okay, so we'll put that here. This is a tree. And with the darker yellow, I'm going to use Quinacridone Gold for the darker yellow. And we'll just put in a few dots, like she says. Okay. Then pick up your orange colour and create a smaller rounded tree shape just above the horizon line on the left. So that's over here. So we want orange, and we're going to go with burnt sienna for the orange with a touch of, I don't know what they call that, but that's orange. So I'm going to put that there. Okay. And then use your light green and paint in a couple of loose, tall tree shapes behind and in between the yellow and orange shapes. So we want a nice bright green, something like this, I think. So we're going to put a nice green here. And let's add some yellow to that and put some more here. And then let's go with some slightly darker here. Transition to the dark green and paint a couple more. Okay, so I'm going to transition to my dark green. This is a really dark green here. So we're going to paint a dark one on top of this yellow. So we'll do that. Couple more. I did this by painting stacked V shapes, starting with a small V and each one getting larger. I don't quite understand that, but that's fine. I think we'll call that a tree. And then, so over here, we'll have another tree-like object. Very loose, and some lighter green at the bottom here, something like that. and then we're going to go and have lunch. That's what we're going to do next. And I think use your dark green and brown colours to fill in any blank areas right above the horizon line in or above the trees. So that's here. So we'll do that. So we'll come in with the phthalo green and the sap green, and we'll just, and what is going to be really exciting about this is that we're going to go for lunch now, and then we're going to come back and we're going to see what the elves have done while we were having lunch. Because they're waiting at the door right now. They are. And I'm just putting in a little bit more colour. Take that up into the sky a little bit. Trying not to cover up all the sky. That was a bit much, I think. Although it will dry a bit lighter. So we don't need to panic. So I'm going to leave that like that. Except one thing, I just want to put a little bit more brown in here. Okay, right. So I'm going to let that dry and come back anon. And at the moment we have my version of her painting here. So of course hers has dried, I think, probably. So let's hold our breath and see what happens. Okay, so I'm back and it's completely dry now. I had lunch, got a cup of tea. That's what I need. And in the instructions, Hannah now says, after we've let it dry without fiddling with it whatsoever, she says, let's add some details to this, let's add some detail to this top half using the same colours as in step 1. For example, use dark green to add some general leaf and branch details to the dark green tree shapes you painted in step 1. Use the light yellow or darker yellow to add leaf details on top of the yellow tree. Continue this way until you've added some general details to everything in the top section. So we'll do that. So we've got this orange bush here, and I think mine is a little bit darker than hers, but never mind. Let's make that a little bit opaque by mixing up an orange which is a little bit lighter, and then we can put in some details. And I think really it doesn't matter. Yeah, by using gouache I can put in lighter because mine is already too dark, so I don't want to make it any darker. So I'm just kind of splashing around here randomly, like what she says. Okay, and come down here a little bit. And then we could grab a little bit of black, which when mixed with something like Quinacridone gold will give us a very dark brown. And then we can just drop in a few twigs, like she has done. Not much, she hasn't done very many, so we'll just do a couple. Can always come back to that later. And then in front of that, she's got some very dark green. So we go back to our phthalo green or whatever that is. And we can put here leaving plenty of spaces. Like that. I'll come down here as well. Okay, that's that. And then we could put, as she suggests, we could put some, we can darken up here a little bit. And we can come along here a little bit. It's good to keep contrast, so where you've got light, that could be where your darkest darks sometimes go. That's dried really light, hasn't really died back basically, so I'm going to have to come in again with some more gouache mixed with some yellow. And maybe we'll make that a bit green. Okay, and then, so in the background, I think I'll go up here with a sort of mid-green. Something like this. This is sap green, dark. So we can put in, for example, a Christmas tree. Oh, it won't be long now till Christmas, and we'll be doing pine trees almost every day, no doubt. But for the minute, I haven't done one for a few months now, because we give up this kind of tree, generally speaking, in the summer, but the autumn is coming now. Okay, so that's our first dark tree. Add a few more blobs of dark. Let that run a little bit. And then I'm going to do another one. I think I'll do another one. Well, this one is an obvious one, I suppose. We could do that. We could have one here as well, although we probably should do this one first. So put the trunk in. I'm just using a size, I think it's about size 5 round brush for these branches. And then I'm going to go down to the lighter green here. And maybe back here, perhaps we should have a lighter green tree. Just smoosh that out a little bit, because this one's kind of meant to be a bit more in the distance. And then I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to do some sort of darker bits in here. I think it needs it. And we have a dark tree in the background. it's bound to be the case that yours won't look exactly the same as either mine or Hannah's. It's pretty much impossible, and you wouldn't want that anyway. So I think we'll you have to break away a little bit from the instructions sometimes, don't you? Because your painting will inevitably go a slightly different way. And we might put a bit of dark down here, just there, like that sort of thing. This is, you're really sort of trying to design the painting when you get to this point, trying to make it look right. And some quite a chunky tree here. Just dancing the paper, dancing the paint over the paper. And come down here a little bit, and then I'm going to pick up some of the gouache colour. And hopefully might be able to make this work here. This is not my usual style, needless to say. So here we have these larches, aren't they? Notice I'm not looking at the original photo, because I think that probably would be confusing, because I am following Hannah's instructions. So I'm sticking to what she's saying that I should do, because she's already done all the hard work. She's done all the hard work, yes. Okay, and then over here we've got 2 more trees. Oh, I hope you like painting trees, Christmas trees. I'm going to change the colour. And then we're going to go for a somewhat bluer tree over here. put some ultramarine in with the green. And then we'll have some nice yellowy green down here. Whoops. Okay, and then the next step that she proposes is to paint a little bit of rocks in the foreground here, I think. So I'm using buff titanium for this. So I'm just going to do this fairly simply. And then she suggests some dark, small, dark kind of bushes along here. So where we've got a straight line, we kind of make that a little bit more uneven. So, okay, so we'll leave that like that. And now we have to dry that. And then we're going to turn it over and do this section. Okay, so what we need to do now is we do need to wet the whole of the water area because this is a lake. And it doesn't matter that there's a bit of green in that. The water has gone a bit green, but that's actually helpful in a way because now I can see where I've wetted, which is not a problem. So then basically what we're going to do is the exact same as we did up the top. So we'll start off with the yellow, and we're just mirroring what we had on top. So those were those colours, nice and bright. It's obviously not going to be anywhere near as oh, don't forget the sky. Forgot the sky. Okay. And then the green, so the lightish green is here, and the darker green is up here, and there's dark green there too. And then we've got dark green here. That's going to go down there. And then we've got one up here. And it's actually quite difficult. I don't think it needs to be all that accurate, really, as long as it looks roughly right. I'm going to turn that round now. And yeah, so the broader part of the trees is going to be at the bottom. It gets narrower, sorry, at the top rather. It gets narrower as it goes towards the top, the bottom. I never was any good at, what do you call it? like Tetris, you know, orientation in space. No good. Right, so that's probably going to be okay. We need that one in there, that dark one. But we're not going to put much detail in the ones that have gone all floofy in the water. So we'll leave that like that, I think. The only thing is this line here is too hard, so I need to soften that up a bit. I think I might want to, shall I put a little bit more yellow in there? Okay, so now we need to let that dry. Probably it's often a good idea to put a nice dark broken line along the edge where the land meets the water, like that. This can work. That can work. So now we need to let that dry. And then when that is dry, we'll see whether we need to do anything else. So I'm going to turn the camera off and wait. Okay, so that's now dry, and I'm just going to finish it off using Hannah's final suggestion, which when you go back to the photo that her mum took, you can see here, so I didn't refer to this photo at all while I was doing this painting. Hadn't even really looked at it, to be honest. I hadn't noticed there's a whole bunch of lily pads here. There's lilies growing in the water. Also in the photo, the reflection is much, much more clear and defined than it is in our paintings, hers as well as mine. But that's fine because, you know, you never want to paint every gosh darn leaf, do you? We really don't want to, but we're going to put a few of these in because she says to do it. So what we have to do is we need to use some opaque paint for that. And she suggests using white gouache mixed with green. But I have another idea, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my precious acrylic markers, these ones here, which, as you can see, I've already started it and I'm trying it out. They will show up, and I won't have to worry too much about mixing gouache. So I'm just going to paint some little ovals on top of the dark areas with a light green like this, and try and make them different sizes and space them out irregularly and make them sort of overlap a bit. I'm not an expert on it. I've never in my whole entire life painted a lily pad before, you'll be glad to know. So we'll do some of this. She says it makes it look a lot more realistic, so whatever you say. It might do. So the ones in the foreground need to be a little bit bigger because they're nearer, and the ones further away need to be a bit smaller, I suppose, except, of course, that some of them will be bigger and some will be smaller. Anyway, no matter where they are, so to speak. So we'll do some little ones back here. And maybe we'll put some bigger ones here, perhaps. I think that's actually working. We'll do some quite big ones quite nearby, I think. And we're going to put some shadow on them in a minute. Because there were a lot on this photo. There were lots of them. So we can put as many as we want. And she says then take some dark, I think she says, does she say green or brown for the shadow? Dark green. So I'm going to use a dark green watercolor pen, brush pen for the shadows underneath. because this would just be too fiddly for me with a brush, a watercolor brush. I think that would probably send me doolally-tat, so to speak. Let's find another green. It's one green. It's actually quite amazing how often I've used these watercolor pens, brush pens, since I had them. So do it like that, and then we could even go over the top of the acrylic to add a little bit more interest. Okay, well, I think we're getting there. The next thing to do probably is to convince yourself that this was time well spent and find a mount so that you can put that around the painting and have a look and see whether you think it worked. We could probably put a little bit of light, maybe use a white a little bit, perhaps, on some of them. Okay. All right, let me find a mount and I'll come back and we'll see what we think. So there we are. I've got this rather generously sized mount and I've just popped that over the top there so you can see what it actually looks like when it's separated from the clutter of the everyday world around you. A little bit is cut off because the mount's not quite big enough, but I think you can get the idea. You can sort of choose where you put it. If there's bits of it you don't like, you can cut them out, make it a bit smaller, or you can move it around and get a slightly different impression of the painting like that. So, for example, if you don't like that bit, you can kind of keep it over here, for example. But anyway, there we are. That gives you an idea. This is Hannah's version, and I think I've managed to stick reasonably close. I've obeyed the rules and did exactly what she said, and lo and behold, it's come out the way she would have intended it to, I think. Thanks very much to Hannah for writing this book. It's an excellent one, and I hope that you'll give it a place on your bookshelf. She's only a youngster, probably young enough to be my great-granddaughter, actually, if I did the maths. But her paintings are really good, and I wish her every success in her future career as a very stunning artist, which she no doubt will be. Okie doke, well, for now then I'll say goodbye and I'll see you again soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already done it, and look in the description below the video for information about the things that I used and what I'm recommending. And please don't forget, if you feel like following us and supporting us, you can do so on Patreon. Here on YouTube, you can become a member, and then you can join our Facebook groups and share your work over there, which would be lovely. I'm sure I've forgotten to tell you something absolutely vital. Oh yes, don't forget to go to our website, dianeantone.com, which when you sign up, you can get our weekly newsletter, and also you are entitled to download as many of our sketches as you need. 10 a month is what we allocate if you're not a member. If you are a member, you can have an unlimited number. Some people find that very helpful for their painting journey. So I'll leave you with that thought, and I'll see you again soon, everybody. Bye for now. Bye-bye now.